Hello everyone! Welcome to Truth and Justice TV. I'm Alex Amicarelli, and this evening we are going to talk about some very interesting topics relating to the interfaith dialogue, how the faith communities reacted to the pandemic, and many more topics. It is my pleasure today to introduce our special guest, Mr. Martin Weitman, Director of the All Faiths Network. Martin, good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, and thank you very much for inviting me. I look forward to this.
That's our pleasure to have you today. And before you start, for those who don't know the All Faiths Network yet, can you please tell them something about who you are and what the All Faiths Network does?
Sure, of course. Well, as you know, my name is Martin Weitman. I'm the director of the All Faiths Network, which is an interfaith group. We are based in the UK. We have members from different religions, and our purpose is to bring people from different faiths together and to share our faith and our understanding, our different understandings from a faith perspective, and to show that there is a reality about people of different faiths being able to work together and live together. And we also have quite a strong importance and concern for human rights, most specifically in the area of freedom of religion or belief. And that's a rough overview of our activities.
Thank you very much, Martin. And the All Faiths Network is also very active in the society with a lot of campaigns regarding the interfaith dialogue. We can say that the United Kingdom and London particularly is a very diverse society. We find all over London churches, temples, mosques, synagogues and different kinds of worship places, many times even one next to each other. That alone should be a good reason for people to engage in interfaith dialogue, to know each other, to know our neighbors. But Martin, in your own views, what could be a reason or some good reasons for people to get involved into interfaith dialogue?
Well, as a community, as we all live together in community in different ways, I think it's important to get to understand each other, not to judge each other or to be critical about one another's beliefs, but to understand them and to have an openness and tolerance towards their beauties and their own the ways that other people find their path to spirituality. And so, yes, it's quite true the way that there are many churches and other religions close to each other. And one of the ways we go about this is to visit each other's places of worship, or to meet together and to talk about different things, maybe current issues. And in that way we get to understand each other, and we work together in a broader sphere and spectrum by doing that.
We know that we are living very tough times. The COVID-19 has been a very challenging time for everyone from different perspectives. What have been the main challenges faced by faith communities during the COVID-19 pandemic and during the two lockdowns? Was the interfaith dialogue affected in any way by the pandemic?
I think it was. I mean, not only the interfaith dialogue, but even the communication within the faith communities themselves. Obviously, with people locked down, they couldn't communicate as they would normally. And even, for interfaith dialogue, it became even more difficult because we weren't allowed to visit one another's places of worship. And so I think this did hit the interfaith community, both as individual communities and as interfaith, quite a lot. Now I see we are returning back to some kind of normalcy, and we're starting to do more activities again. For example, yesterday I was involved in a interfaith run, which was done in London. It was a number of different, there was at least 300 different people from different religious groups gathered together in a stadium, in the Stonex Stadium in London. And we did running, and there was music, and there was talk, and there were stalls, and people were talking to each other. So it was a great initiative to bring people together.
Yeah, and we know that these kind of activities are quite usual and ongoing in a city like London, which is very diverse, very international. But going outside London, do we have this kind of activities? Are the young people much involved in this kind of work? Or what can be done to involve young people even more?
I do believe it is less so around the UK than in London. And to answer your other point about involving young people, I think it is very important to involve young people. I mean, we do see many young people. Yesterday there were many young people running and certainly lapping me on the run. And it was great to see them there involved in this kind of activity. But I think we need a lot more of it, because faith and belief is so essential to a sense of community and to an understanding of each other, because it's essential to what we feel we are all about, shall we say. And I think there is a higher understanding and purpose for us to reach towards, and certainly I want that for younger people. And you know, we have a culture today which is you know, a bit too video game centered in my view. And so it's important, I think, to bring people's attention out and to put their attention on the bigger things in life, I should say, you know.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Martin. Let's have a short break now, and we will be back in a minute. Welcome back to Truth and Justice TV. If you're just joining us now, this evening we are talking about interfaith dialogue, freedom of religion and belief, how the faith communities reacted to the COVID-19 pandemic, and many more topics. Our guest this evening is Martin Weitman, director of the All Faiths Network. Martin, you were sharing with us some of the activities that the All Faiths Network is carrying out in the field of the interfaith dialogue. Can you tell us a little bit more about some recent or past activities which have involved faith communities, and how All Faiths Network worked during the pandemic, during the lockdown, so that our audience know a little bit more about current and future plans as well?
Yeah, of course. Well, you know, last year we were faced with this problem. We had lockdowns, we couldn't meet each other. And there's an event every year that happens in the UK called Interfaith Week. And normally what we do during Interfaith Week is we gather together and we have cultural events, whether it's poetry or song or prayer or dance, all with a religious perspective. We gather together and we celebrate those things. Last year we couldn't do that. So what we decided to do was an online version, and we gathered together. I think we had 21 different presentations from Hindus, from Sikhs, from Christians, from other minority faiths like the Church of Scientology. And what we did was we had a prayer or a song or a dance from each of these groups. And it was a wonderful event, actually, because whilst in some way we'd lost the personal touch of being together, on the other hand, we actually managed to reach more people from different countries. We had a number of people from Ireland, from France and Germany and so on, even Denmark, I think. And so in that way we brought it together. And and from that we also developed a book. We wrote a book about how religions rose above the challenges of COVID-19. And in that book, which is available on Amazon, but it will soon be released hard copy. In that book, what we did was we took how Hindus have dealt with the issue, and we had a lot of different. We had a presentation about different activities, whether they were helping different communities, helping elderly people, helping in hospitals. We had a chapter on that. We had another chapter on how Sikhs, as you know, they provide food. So there was a lot of food provided all around the country, and we had another chapter on that. We had a chapter, the Church of Scientology was helping to do sort of decontamination, sanitization of premises so that people could feel comfortable and confident in going back to their places of worship. And there were many of those, over 100 different places of worship were done in that way. And so we developed that to bring all the communities together and to show that you can do things. There are things that you can do, even when you are restricted, and therefore it was, we thought it was important to show that.
Yeah, this helps different faith gathering and work all together, as we all are family. So we need really to work together, as the aim is the same: to live in a peaceful world where coexistence can be a real fact. We know that most of these activities are carried out by faith groups and private groups by their own initiative. In your views, is there something more that the government could do to help people know each other, know their neighbors? I'm thinking about the religious subjects in the schools also. There may be something more to be done to help this coexistence be more real.
Well, when you think about it, the amount of volunteering that is done by religious organizations is enormous. It far exceeds the possibility for government to actually fund. So I think it would be, one of the things that would be helpful would be for the government to provide more, shall we say, seed funding or some different initiatives to help the ongoing activities even further. That would be one thing. There is religious education in schools. I personally think it should be broadened into a more, shall we say, a more inclusive and human rights, freedom of religion or belief giving it a freedom of religion or belief perspective, because we look at the world around us, and throughout many countries there are serious violations of freedom of religion or belief. And yes, the government could be doing a lot more about that too, I think.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Martin. Let's have a short break and we will be back soon. Hello again, welcome back to Truth and Justice TV. This evening we are talking about interfaith dialogue. And we are talking about it with Mr. Martin Weitman, director of the All Faiths Network, an organization based in the UK with a lot of contacts in other countries as well. I know Martin personally. We do work together in the field of human rights and religious freedom, and we've been doing this work in several countries. So I personally know, not only as a lawyer but as someone interested in interfaith dialogue, how important it is to know our neighbors. So I want to ask Martin now, our friends that are following the program today from Aberdeen, from Cornwall, from Brighton, or from any other places on the earth, and they want to do something to start an interfaith group or dialogue, or do something to give impact in their own society. What's your advice for these friends?
Okay. First off, you're always welcome to contact me. The address is info@allfaithnetwork.org. So I'm always happy to help answer questions. Secondly, I think you should be aware that in the UK there is an organisation called the Interfaith Network, which is different to the All Faiths Network. The Interfaith Network is an umbrella group of all, or I don't say all, but many interfaith groups and different religions that exist within the UK. And it is them that organise the yearly Interfaith Week, which we participate in. We ourselves, the All Faiths Network, are a national member body for that organisation. And on that site, you will also find many groups which you may be able to join, which are local to you. If you don't have a group that is local to you, then, why not just go to your nearby mosque or church or gurdwara or whatever and knock on the door and say, hello, let's talk, maybe you want to do some charitable work together. You can involve yourself in whatever it may be, helping elderly people, looking at human rights issues in this country or in Europe or around the world. It depends on your interest and your motivation. But whatever it is, I'm sure you can find other people in your community. It's a matter of reaching out to them and being open to them and be willing and wanting to understand their religion.
Yeah, and also maybe people could start reading. Maybe they could start from the All Faiths Network book. Or there are many other resources available. There is training available to start and learn bit by bit, step by step about the interfaith dialogue. And of course the interfaith dialogue goes hand by hand with the human rights education. So do educate yourself to human rights. There is plenty of resources in this field. And indeed, as Martin said, you can get in contact with your local worship places, if whether a church, a temple, a mosque, or any other kind of religious temple. But you can also access other kind of resources to train yourself and learn how to manage a group of people, do coaching sessions, and work with the elderly, because in all communities there are elderly people who need help, and help is not always available to everyone. So volunteering is a good way to go and see people from other community. It's kind of an hands-on approach to learning the interfaith dialogue. Are there any programs in the pipeline, something that is going to happen in the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months that we can talk about, or any ideas, something that people could do in the next 6 to 12 months? We have a lot of resources available. The internet is amazing. We have Zoom and all these platforms to do programs as well.
Yes. Well, one of the programs we're looking at developing is basically an interview with a member of a faith who will, where it's possible, say in 15 minutes, they will give a brief explanation and understanding, a basic explanation of what their religion is. And then we would develop that as a topic, maybe relating it to some current affairs issue. And we would like to roll that out and develop it actually as a library of knowledge with many, many different faiths. And it can even be different areas of faith. You know, I mean, there are many different Christian perspectives as well, so we could take different Christian perspectives. We will take minority religions. We will take those religions which have a base in other countries perhaps, but all of these things will just add to our knowledge and understanding. And after all, what we want to do is help each and every one of us develop our own spiritual understanding of ourselves, and it's only by learning and seeing other faiths as well, about learning about them, that we will be able to develop that. So that's certainly something I would
Yes, and something very
encourage.
interesting from my perspective is that in the interfaith dialogue, generally speaking, over the last few years, also non-religious people got engaged in the interfaith dialogue, which from my perspective is just amazing. So people from no faith of any kind joining interfaith organizations.
Yeah, because when we talk about interfaith, we also talk about any religion or none. Your belief is your belief, whether you believe in something that is agnostic or atheistic. It's still your belief, and you are 100% entitled to that belief, and if you wish to share it, then share it, of course.
As freedom of thought, conscience, and religion applies to everyone, whether
Absolutely.
religious, spiritual, alternative, or not. Martin, we could go on for hours talking about these topics, as we love the topic, but time is almost over. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Well, thank you, and thank you to all the listeners.
And thank you everyone for being with us today. So we can certainly say that freedom of thought, conscience, and religion is for everyone. Interfaith dialogue is very important for everyone and everywhere, all over the world. So as we keep fighting for truth, justice all over the world, please stay well and see you next week. Thank you very much.